Mastermind, To Think Like a Killer offers a riveting look at the groundbreaking work of Dr. N. Burgess in serial killer profiling. She spoke with us about the Hulu series and the Netflix series she inspired, Mindhunter. Dr. Burgess discusses her work and how the notorious Ed Kemper's articulate interviews provided key insights into the motivations of serial killers. Dr. Burgess' tenacity and compassion for victims were central to unraveling America's most notorious true crime mysteries. She's the subject of the new docuseries on Hulu. Serial killers are in the spotlight in Hulu's eye-opening docuseries, Mastermind, To Think Like a Killer, hailing from executive producers Dakota and Elle Fanning, showrunner Danny Sloan, and director Abby Fuller. As captivating as it is sobering, the series delivers a refreshing new perspective on the legendary serial killer profiler Dr. N. Burgess, psychiatric nurse and professor, whose crime-hunting prowess changed history. It also helped inspire the acclaimed Netflix series Mindhunter from Joe Penhall and David Fincher. The Netflix series Mindhunter tried, Burgess shared of the procedural thriller series. They had Dr. Wendy Carr, played by Anna Torv of Fringe, playing my part, and I thought she did a fairly good job. They got the information correct, and they should have, because they had all of our data. They had our interviews with the killers. She added. I think they could do more in terms of the cases and how you analyze cases, and what have we learned from that. I'd love to see that happen. And they could do a case through a series. We had 36. Just in that first little study, 36 serial killers. The articulate and important Ed Kemper, serial killer, the one that we had a lot of data on was Ed Kemper. Because he was very articulate. He did the interviews. He was in one of the very first videos about serial killers that any media company did, called No Apparent Motive. Kemper, for those intrigued with serial killers, was convicted of murdering 7 women and 1 girl, from 1972 to 1973. Officials also learned that when he was 15, Kemper murdered his paternal grandparents. Burgess added. The cases, at the time, had no motive. From an investigative standpoint, one of the things they look for initially is, why did this happen? What was the motive? And they couldn't come up with anything that spoke to that motive. Kemper was very articulate about how early his thoughts had gone to that, and how it developed. There are other serial killers that were equally articulate, added Dr. Burgess, because they tend to be very bright, and that's why they're, if you will, so good at getting away with murder. I mean, that's the other piece of all of this. I've always been interested in how come they can get away with it so much. And the audience has the exact same fascination, which is partly why Mastermind, To Think Like a Killer is so gripping. Burgess saw it all too clearly. To stop serial killers, she had to learn to think like one. Mastermind does a great job of tracking Burgess' mind-bending story, which dates back to the 1960s onward, and showcases her collaborations with the FBI and her compassion for victims. High-profile serial killers such as Ed Kemper and Ted Bundy filter into the mix for context, and lesser-known criminals, like the ski mask rapist, invite audiences to consider what Burgess was up against as she valiantly attempted to change a broken system and radically champion the plight of women in America. If it sounds like a great premise for a binge-worthy Hulu drama operating outside the docuseries universe, that's because it is. Glenn Close, Marcia Gay Harden, or Sarah Paulson would be our top choices to play Burgess. But until that happens, we're lucky enough to have Dr. Burgess' thoughts and story explored in the new Hulu series Mastermind, To Think Like a Killer.